Welcome to Bitstorm, a comedy game design podcast by two guys who know nothing about comedy nor game design. This is episode 96. I'm Ben Slinger. How do I do this again? And with me as always is my co-host and friend, Trevor Scott.
Yeah, I'm sorry he wasn't able to make it tonight.
No, Trevor Scott. Who's here instead?
Tired Trevor.
Ty Red Trevor.
Yes.
Sounds like a sweet guy.
Just call him
sleepy
Trent.
eyes. Sweet guy with sleepy eyes. Ty Trevor. All right. So, hey, we're going to do some click pitch, some ramped up click pitch, which is where we each have a random word generator in front of us. And on the count of 3, 2, 1, click, we will get, in this case, 2 words each, an adjective and a noun, just to make things interesting. And we'll put them together and make a game design out of them. Just the design. Then we throw it away. Could be funny, could be good.
Could be absolutely
Might
horrible,
suck.
and then it gets cut.
Yeah. It could get cut, in which case you won't hear it. But let's do it. 3, 2, 1, click.
Fake click. You go first.
Icier maneuvering.
Expansive cobra.
Expansive cobra. Well, that makes sense because they've got they flatten their neck out. Mm-hmm. So do we just take that to the extreme? Like how far can this cobra flatten its neck? How expansive can it get? or maybe we take that cobra ability and apply it to other things. So like a human, just like just neck, just.
Okay, so tell me this: how on a snake can you tell if it's neck or head or body? It's all fucking head until tail, isn't it?
Or is it all head? I don't know. Maybe they just have a really long head. Or maybe it's all tail. Maybe they've just got eyes on their tail. Well, that's an interesting thing too, because like the cobra just spreads its supposed head. What if it could do that like along the length of its whole body? And it kind of just becomes like a long pancake steak, a pan snake. I don't know. Could it glide? Do you think it could glide if it did that? Maybe.
Well, given that it's got to go through some sort of icy maneuvering, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, this is the thing. Maybe this is like a platformer where maybe as you go along in the game, the power-ups that you get is that more and more of your body can flatten out.
Well, what I was thinking is the reason why I was laughing before we started is because when I saw Expansive Cobra, I just thought of like, what would the latest version of Snake be?
Okay.
Like, the more that you eat, the longer that you get, but you're also a cobra, so therefore you've got like some venom and stuff like that.
All right.
So,
well, maybe we can combine those two ideas because I actually really like the idea of having some control, like even analog control. We've sort of done this before in other games, but like analog control over how flattened your body is to like help you get through places or, well, and to, with the ICRs thing, maybe it's that you can control which part of your body is flat. And so instead of your head going flat, you like put it sort of near the base and you can slide along on it, like rear the front of you up and slide along on the flat bit along the ice, like a snowboard.
oh god.
At the same time, the main thing you're collecting is food, and it makes you longer. I could see that working.
Yeah.
Or even like flattening your head out to like hook onto things. So you like kind of maybe you have to do it quickly. Like you have to, if you flatten the base of you out, you can kind of spring because you've got a flat surface to spring off. But then as you're in the air, you have to then move that flat area sort of along your body up to your head to like hook onto a platform with your head.
And I'm seeing the lazy developer part of us is just going to go, okay, so here's a puzzle where you've got to flatten yourself to get under a door. So you basically flatten under the head and then it just continues down until you're all under.
Yeah, totally. Well, that's it. Like, yeah. Different, and that's you can do that early on because you can at the beginning you can only flatten 10% of your body at one time, but by the end you can just turn completely into a pan snake and slide. You could be for camouflage. Then maybe you could act as a trampoline for one of your buddies.
Oh god!
Maybe you get buddies later on, like other things that can change their bodies in different ways, like a blowfish. A Dilophosaurus.
Flashback to like his ancestor.
Yeah, exactly. A kid that maybe like rolls itself up in a ball. Oh no, what else sort of changes its body in that way? Anyway, it doesn't matter. Sugar glider. That's not really the same. Anyway. 3, 2, 1, click.
God.
Okay, you go first this time.
Lengthiest vestibule.
Lengthiest vestibule. All right. Matchmaker blockbuster. There are a few ways we could go with this. I like the idea that Blockbuster in its like final death throes as streaming took over and Redbox and whatever just killed the whole industry of borrowing DVDs and things, that they needed to find a new business model.
Mm-hmm.
And so what they did is they turned themselves into a dating service where you'd go on a date and they'd choose the movie that you watched on the date and you were in a vestibule together. So it's like this is the Blockbuster stores just turned into a series of vestibules that you would go into with your date and you had to stay there for the length of the movie. Now, what was your first word?
Lengthiest.
Yeah, exactly. So like if you're on a bad date and you get a fucking long movie, like it's going to be shit. And so it's sort of a dating sim or, you know, conversational kind of funny game.
Yep. Okay.
About that.
So I'm starting to picture that rather than it being in the death throes of Blockbuster, I'm thinking that it's something that is actually happened to in Australia. We've got a local video store chain called Video Easy. Mm-hmm. You know what they've turned into?
Video sleazy, and it's the same thing but with porn.
Pretty much, except they've also got like vending machines. They're pretty much all just vending machines. So the idea being that this is, I like the idea of video sleazy, that you're going up to a vending machine and it's part matchmaker, part video vending machine, and it just happens to be like a vestibule. So
how does the matchmaker? So it's literally an algorithmic matchmaking thing.
Based off of your movie selection.
Right, based off your previous movie selection and what date number you're on.
Yep.
With this person, because it just like gets hornier as it goes. They just assume by third date you want hardcore porn. But you have to watch it. Like there's some sort of contract you sign that you, like if you want to continue with this service, you have to trust them. Because
I like the idea of it just being maybe it's actually in the lobby of this establishment in which all these people are happening. So the vending machine itself is in the vestibule, but it gives you the lengthiest movie that it can sort of.
So you go into this vestibule with somebody, or because I'm almost picturing there's like a curtain down the middle.
Yeah, I think maybe you go into two people enter, they select a movie.
One man leaves.
They select a movie, or the movie gets selected for them.
The movie gets selected for them,
and then as you enter into the next room, you're paired off, sort of thing.
All right. Yeah, okay. I'm intrigued by the idea in general. I'm trying to figure out the logistics of it. And also it's not a game, but whatever. We can figure it. Yeah, we can get there. Maybe it's a management sim and you have to build this thing. No. Yeah, well, I'm trying to think what's the best way to make that work. Like, cause you don't want to just randomly match people, right? There's some algorithm or even actual human matchmakers here.
Yeah, well,
who look at your history.
You don't have to show who's behind the curtain. You can just randomly generate a matching person based off the questionnaire that you're doing. It is a game, right? And it's digital.
I mean, maybe it shouldn't be. Maybe maybe we could turn this into an app. No, it's
no.
I'm trying to figure out how the game will work. Like, because presumably the players don't actually want to sit through the entire length of a real movie. And also, we couldn't get the rights to movies and things.
The only thing we could get rights to was Avatar.
So just every date you go on is a 3-hour date.
Video Sleazy sponsored by Avatar.
Sponsored by James Cameron. Please let me make Avatar 2.
And 3 and 4 and 5 and 6.
Oh, God. So is this then sort of a game where you build your own character and then the game itself algorithmically matches you with a bunch of, like generated people and movies? And maybe they can be real movies. Obviously you don't watch them in the game, but like it tells you what movie you got and it sort of simulates out the date in certain ways or gives you choices to make.
Yep.
Like, if you get a horror movie, if you get Nightmare on Elm Street, it says like Freddy just climbed out of the bed or whatever. I don't remember.
Mm-hmm.
Do you put your arm around your date or like do you grip their hand or something? Like how do you react? And depending on what you know about or how that person's been generated, their reaction, is different. And so it's sort of strategy around getting to know this person and in the context of reactions to movies.
Yeah. Something like that.
Something like that. 3, 2, 1, click. Oh, this could be another snake one. Jerky, a slither.
God. Repellent antipathy?
Antipathy. So like not... Oh, wait.
Antipathy.
Yeah, so that's like not caring?
A deep-seated feeling of aversion.
Right. So, okay. So really hating something.
And given that it's repellent, you're really, really hating something.
Or the fact, or whoever is hating something is then themselves repellent due to that. All right. Jerky a slither.
Okay, so what comes to my head straight away is, do you remember that not old, but the James Gunn film Slither?
I did think of that as well. Yeah. Nathan Fillion, right?
Yep, and Michael Rooker and I can't remember who else is in it. But basically it's an alien invasion story in which Michael Rooker's character gets like impregnated with like this disgusting alien being that is just a whole heap of worms.
Yep.
He explodes and then there's just worms all over the place.
Yep.
So that gives you the Slither idea.
Mm-hmm.
But the idea that you've got, a deep aversion to these slithering worms or something like that, it sort of fits in quite nicely.
Right. Okay. Is it that the worms give you a personality change to make you into an asshole? Into a jerk?
And that's how you can actually tell who's actually infected by them.
Or it slowly dries out your skin and turns you into jerky.
Yeah, that version.
Yeah, you like that better?
Yeah, definitely. The fact that it doesn't do anything but that.
That's it. It's no other effects. It's just this alien race who really likes jerky. Like, who just really likes dried meats. And so they created this, like, virus being to just infect people.
Well, it's a parasite that lives solely on water. So it literally just dries them out, and then when it's done, it can like move on.
And interestingly enough, it also like gives out salt to just really.
It's got a conversion process in which it sucks in water and converts it to salt.
Yeah.
I love it. Love it. Okay, so it's an alien invasion sort of game in which.
Oh, I love the idea of one of your tools being like a moisture detector. Or like moisture vision.
What I'm liking is that you can set up like a backstory that this guy's abusive father, he always had the smell of like beef jerky on his breath. So you got like this, you're repelled by the look and taste and smell of beef jerky. And so therefore there's that deep-seated aversion to these aliens because you're just like, you absolutely hate beef jerky.
Yep.
So I like the idea that you're working in teams, trying to work out, who in the world is actually turning into beef jerky.
Yep.
Well, human jerky.
Yeah.
And
man jerky.
Yeah, I kind of like the idea that you're just a team going around, just trying to eliminate.
Well, so, okay.
Anyone
where does the game start? Does the game start mid-invasion where this is already known, or do we see the beginning of it in some way?
Yeah, I kind of like the idea that it's already been happening for quite a while. This guy's just part of a team who goes around and cleans up the parasites and that sort of stuff.
All right, soldiers. You've all got your teams. Get out there with your, I don't know, how would you defeat jerky? Like with water pistols? Do you need to like rehydrate them?
Well, you got to take away salt. So how do you take away salt?
Yeah, I don't know. How do you?
What counts as salt?
I mean, it kind of would be just dissolving it, wouldn't it be, into water maybe?
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking, so snails, if you put salt on them, they like burn up.
Hmm. Maybe that's one. Well, maybe that's a detection method. Maybe that's a detection method. Is you've got like slug guns, like actual slugs, and you fire at someone, and if it lands on their skin and they just start to sizzle and bubble, then you're like, oh shit, they're a jerky. They're a jerk. They're a jerkoid.
Oh, hang on. What's the character's name?
Cut this bit as Trevor looks something up.
You call them Narvins. Navin.
Narvins?
Yes.
Like Navi? From
no.
Avatar? Going back to our previous game. What's a Narvin?
So, in the movie The Jerk, Steve Martin's character was Narvin. So it's just a play on that.
Jesus, alright, fine. Narvins?
Yep.
They're a Narvin!
Yeah, so I thought that might be a bit of fun. Just a callback to the movie The Jerk.
Yeah, okay, that's cool. All right, well, I think water is actually the best way. You just dissolve salt in water. So maybe, but it needs to be a lot, right? So it's not just a water pistol. It's they have to be in a pool of water, a body of water, of some kind.
I really like the idea that these people don't necessarily know that they're
jerkifying.
Actually, jerkifying. So maybe one of the first missions is you go into like a nightclub, and there's like people dancing and all this sort of stuff, and you're sort of sneaking through, and you're looking for any signs of people having to drink too much water or something like that because they've got parched throat and all this sort of stuff. But
maybe that's the beginning signs, right? I think initially they want lots of water because they're just feeling parched, but soon the parasite, sort of starts working its way into their brain a bit, and then they actually develop. Again, this could go with repulsive, an aversion to water, because now it's the parasite trying to survive in there, right? And so,
yeah, but didn't we say that the parasites they just take all the water and they convert it straight into salt, like into their veins?
Well, yeah, but they don't want excessive water in the body, because they're trying to make this human into jerky, and it's going to take too long.
Yeah, but if you're drinking water, then the parasite's able to consume it. But if you get submerged in water,
well, that's what I mean. But there's an aversion to, they won't go swimming, they won't take a bath or a shower, so they start to smell not just like jerky and like salted meats.
So you sneak into this thing, and you've got like a meter that you're going, okay, the BO over this area is really, really strong. Let's go over here.
Yeah, exactly. You've got all these different measuring tools that are very specific to how, because, this has been going on for a decade now. We're still trying to hunt them down. There's still, a lot of them around. And so at the different stages, they have different telltale signs. And look, they start wrinkling like in the late stages. And then it's just like, are they just old? Or are they jerky? Are they an oven?
Are they residents of, like, the Sunshine State that have just been out in the sun too long?
Yeah, do they just really like tanning? I like that. I like that a lot. And so, I don't know, does it become almost a bit of a SWAT style game then, where it's not necessarily fast paced initially? It's sort of, it's sending people around with their different sensors, and we've got a strong body odor cloud over here, and then you have to suss it out with different tools. You need corroboration.
Yeah, and
so you might fire a slug at them,
and nothing happens because it's too early in the process, or something. Or
they're just a stink boy.
So what I'm seeing is, like, you've got, I don't know, I think it's got to be some sort of like plot happening in the background, that there's like some guy who's actually wanting these aliens to like take over a few more people. So he purposefully infects them, maybe because he's found that human jerky is the best type of jerky.
Oh, so there's actually someone who has developed a taste for it.
Yeah.
Well, look, and you could have a few different antagonists. Like, maybe you learn a bit more about the aliens themselves. They've been working with the government, of course, because the government are all corrupt. as usual. And so the government's actually like, helping them because the aliens are, I don't know, paying them probably, something as basic as that. So there's sort of a conspiracy going on there as well, that they're sacrificing their constituents, a certain percentage of them, not all of them, mostly people who voted for the other guy.
As is typical in all politics, it's like I only have to, do the right thing by like 50% of my constituents.
Exactly.
The other 50% can
They're
go
the
get
ones who
fucked.
voted for me. Yeah. Yeah, so there are definitely some good plot things, and maybe like, so what happens to these people in the late stages? Like, are they still themselves up to the end, and they just desiccate and dry and like they turn into chewy salted meat, and stop living once they don't have enough moisture left, or does the parasite take them over in some like mental capacity?
What I think actually happens is the parasite bursts out of the jerky's brain, and they're just now meat.
Right, now they're just meat. Well, maybe it like takes enough control of their sort of primitive reptile brain to like walk them, to someone
To
who
the
wants to eat
factory.
them. Yeah, to like process them and package them and blast them into space.
But what I like the idea of is, as the parasite is ejected from the body, it takes the brain with it. So,
Well, all right, okay, yeah. Well, maybe it takes all but the part that is needed to get it to walk to the factory. Does the parasite live on to infect someone else? Or is it dead too?
no, I think the parasite is now like a higher version of alien. So,
Oh, okay, so it's also a gestation process.
yeah, it's a gestation process.
Is this the only way that new versions of this alien, like, is this how they procreate?
What I kind of like is, it's not the only way they procreate, but it seems to be the easiest way, so that they've just...
It's their favorite way. They get food out of it too. Like, it's basically a civilization. It's as if every human being decided to just start eating placentas. That became a delicacy. And look, people do it, and it's gross and unnecessary, but maybe it's good salted and dried. I don't know.
But what I'm picturing is
Google
that, like,
placenta jerky.
This is just a way that they can procreate. There is another easier way, but it like requires like a member of the opposite sex to actually be involved, and they're so repellent. The opposite
Wait,
sex
this way doesn't require a member of the opposite sex? Is that what you're saying?
This is like self, like they only
Right,
need
this is like
themselves and they can
asexual. No, not asexual. Is that it? Yeah, no.
asexual reproduction. Yeah.
Asexual reproduction. Yeah. So.
Yeah. There's another way, but it's too much effort. But
So, are you saying that these parasites are basically sperm
yeah, pretty
that
much.
infects a human being
Yep.
and creates a new version of the ejaculator, a new baby version, and that's how they reproduce?
Yeah.
So this is all right. So they do have the ability to also reproduce with, cross DNA, like merging DNA with another gender of the species, but it's basically like this particular kind of sect of their civilization is basically just like internet trolls who hate women. They're just misogynists, and so they come to planets and come on planets and turn their beings into jerky.
Yeah.
Perfect. Sounds good. I like this. And that's the big twist. Like, that's what you find out by the end. Do you end up like on their ship or something? Like, where does this game end up?
Yeah, I kind of like the idea of like having, if you remember the original version of Prey,
Yeah.
that you ended up on like the ship right near the start, and it was like kind of mind-bendy and fucked up. Yeah, I like the idea that it's just like almost a more high-tech version
Do
of
you
that.
I like the idea that you have to come up with some plan to package yourself as jerky without actually being
Jerked.
infected, jerked.
Or nothing.
But like they literally kind of shrink wrap them, like, so you have to. There's a scene where you have to like walk the same way as the Narvans who are going back to the factory with what's left of their brain, and you get there and you have to like, I don't know, you've got like a straw, like a snorkel somehow that you poke through the plastic as it's shrink wrapping you, and then you just get blasted into space.
Yep.
And then you kill them all. Do you plant a bomb? Probably.
Yeah,
Is
probably
that sort
a jerky
of
bomb
thing?
or something like that. Or a water bomb.
It's a water bomb. It's literally a water bomb. Okay.
Okay.
How do they get that much water? Oh, yeah, whatever.
God, my mind just went to something that was in Space Quest. Dehydrated water.
Dehydrated water. Oh, God. All right. 3, 2, 1, click.
Ew.
Ooh.
Ew.
What did you get?
Gooey Southerly.
I could have gone with gooey, but Sudley's a bit... Yeah, maybe. Oh, are you sticking with it?
Yeah, I'm sticking with it.
Sticking to it by the sounds of it. Zany mastermind.
Okay. So, the antagonist in this is a zany guy with, like, the master plan of...
The mad scientist
Mad
type.
scientist type. His master plan is... Or he's created a weather machine that turns...
You know what? We do this a fair bit, but I think particularly for this trope, can we make it a woman? I feel like there aren't many zany mastermind women.
Okay, yep.
Or did you have something specific in mind around gooey?
Yeah, so the gooey southerly is like, when I think southerly, I think weather. Because, wind coming from the southerly direction and that sort of stuff. So I'm taking it in that it's turning rain into like a goo.
Oh,
so it's basically, it's turned into...
thick rain.
Thick rain. That it's almost like a hydrogel that gets rained down.
Mm.
And it's happened to all the world's water supply. Basically, it's a gooified water, and you're a James Bond trying to, a James
so
Bond
what
type
does
trying
she want? Why does she want to do this? How is it benefiting her?
So she is the only one who has the formula to turn it back. So she can sell water at a premium, basically.
Okay, so she's basically made all available water on the planet
turn into Jello,
undrinkable.
Well, it's drinkable, but it's just like got a really disgusting texture, so you really don't want to.
You have to slurp it down.
It's basically like
gritty.
It's
like
not
gritty
quite
jelly.
gelatin. It's just got the like the texture of like
it's like
slime.
egg whites.
Yes,
it's like egg whites. Gross.
So you can still live on it.
I can picture it now. Oh.
Okay, now you see like the ocean, and there's just like fish that are just trying to swim through it.
The egg white ocean. I wonder what it would look like. I wonder how that viscosity change would alter the way light is refracted through water. Like, how would it?
I'm just wondering how waves would actually work now. Like,
yeah, I don't know. Can you imagine?
Kids are in a wave pool. Kids are in a wave pool, and it just.
You think the pools are staying open?
Yeah. No, I'm just saying that.
This is like as it happens.
You see, as it happens.
Yeah.
Like, she seeded the clouds or something like that, and it's a fast-growing like bacteria that she managed to put into it.
Yeah. So go on, kids in a wave pool.
I'm just seeing as they're trying to go, the more viscous that fluid becomes, the I'm pretty sure the harder it is to swim in it.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it would be.
So I'm just imagining trying to swim in like a treacle like consistency or something like that. It's like
well, but it's not even that.
It's not even that thick.
Because treacle's sticky. I don't think this is sticky.
It's just gooey.
It's just gooey because it's almost it's almost hydrophobic, which is it's water still, but like it almost or it almost makes other surfaces hydrophobic, right? Like it sort of slides off it in that way where it doesn't even leave residue.
Yeah,
as such. Oh God.
Okay, so
all right.
There's your idea for
this. There's your villain, your zany mastermind, and then she's just like starts a water business. It's like the only shop in town. We've got thin water, water classic.
Oh God, I just realised that like you got to buy Coke or anything like that, and it's all that.
It's the same texture.
Did you ever try that jelly Coke? Like there was actually all.
Oh god, did they really?
Oh
do
no,
that?
it wasn't jelly Coke. It was like a Fanta jelly thing. It actually had like a jelly-like consistency, and everyone said that it was just absolutely disgusting.
They start having to sell all their products in those like yogurt container tubes that you sort of squeeze into your mouth because it doesn't.
Or frozen.
It doesn't pour.
Because frozen, it actually, is kind of like an icy pole sort of consistency. And that is somewhat acceptable.
Yeah, okay. So that's what people sort of start doing. Although I imagine even that, like, as it starts to melt, it's just slimy then, right? It's not that nice kind of refreshing.
I want a nice hot coffee.
Oh, God.
Okay, so
at least the programmers are going to have a field day with the water physics.
Oh yeah, because it's no longer water; it's now viscous physics.
It's thick water. All right, so you play a character who is a secret agent. Who do you work for?
I'm thinking
maybe you work for Coca-Cola. No, go on.
I'm thinking it doesn't really matter who you're working for. You're basically just playing a secret agent. Sort of got some gadgets and all that sort of stuff, and you're literally doing some
cool shit.
Parkour and all this sort of stuff, running through, trying to chase this zany mastermind down.
Trying
to work out who actually did it. So you're doing some investigations. You
wonder what the snow is like.
Interesting.
You really thought about it.
I just got like this image of hailstones that are just like icy jelly sort of cubes.
They just like bounce off your face. Oh, I like the idea that when it's frozen, it's kind of bouncy.
Oh yeah, that's actually kind of cool.
Yeah.
In one scene, it starts hailing down, and it's just like high bouncy balls going down.
Yeah, absolutely. They're just like bouncing off every surface. You can't you're just completely distracted, getting bruised. There's so many possibilities here.
The henchmen. I'm just picturing that. They've got gadgets as well, and a lot of their weapons are jelly based.
Oh well, I like the idea actually that all the henchmen, because they work for this woman, they have like water. Like they have water. They have like water canteens or something, or like those things that runners can have. That's sort of a backpack that has water with a straw coming out of it.
Yep.
Yeah, like they all have those, and so maybe part of the things you can do is like stuff around water that they wouldn't expect, kind of thing. So I don't know if I can drop some sodium in there or something, and it explodes. But like that they've all got water on them, real water.
So one of the things that
or maybe it's a resource as well.
One of the things I just sort of thought about is the way that the world sort of found out that there was someone who actually caused this and it wasn't a natural phenomenon, is that at the water symposium that they had in like, I don't know, they chose someone like Munich or something like that. There was a massive explosion and all the scientists that were there trying to figure out how to fix this, were killed. So therefore,
except for one who escaped with severe burns.
Yeah, I kind of like the idea that you've got these, you've now got real stakes to actually try and get the antidote for the.
Well, and I think initially it's also not clear. Like, obviously, this woman, we should come up with a name for her. What's a real evil name? Let's call her, and now I'm going to offend people who have this name, so I'm not going to actually try to make it too evil. What's the name of this? Fran.
I was literally trying to come up with something around H2O because I like the idea of like
Heather. Her first name's Heather, and her last name starts with an O, and she changed her middle name to number 2.
No, because it's H2. It just means 2 H's, doesn't it?
Oh, I guess. Okay. Heather Hawkington O'Reilly.
Yes. Heather Hawkington O'Reilly. H2O.
H2O.
Professor H2O?
Yes, definitely. Why not? Anyway, so initially when this happens, like, they don't necessarily know that H2O is behind this. I mean, and she's not going by H2O at this point because that makes it obvious that she's evil. She's just the CEO of a large company who very quickly pivots to selling what seems to be the last remaining thin water on the planet. And so she's just known as sort of an entrepreneur. But it does become clear relatively early on that she's probably behind the whole thing.
Given that she had this thin water ready to go, like...
Well, yeah, but that's circumstantial, so you maybe part of the mission is that you have to actually, find evidence, and so you're having to do sneaky stuff and recording conversations or tapping phone lines.
I like the idea
some real cool stealth elements.
That you actually have to go in and, infiltrate her business. So, working undercover, trying to actually, working as a receptionist or something like that.
Yeah. And maybe you have to work your way up to be sort of a trusted henchman. Get some of that sweet thin water dripping with condensation.
Yeah, I really like this idea. It's got... You tried getting rid of my GUI and I turned it around and made you actually really, really...
Sorry, Trevor, I'll never try to get rid of your GUI again. You can GUI as much as you like. Just keep it in your pants. Yeah, I like that a lot. And then the gameplay can really switch between stealth stuff and later on some gunplay sort of things. And I like the idea of water becomes
gunplay or gumplay.
Oh, well, both works. Maybe you can make even thicker water. Actually, I like that. I like the idea that you want later on you get some of this bacteria and you realize if you pump it in even more, it becomes more like a gum. You can turn any water into, a very powerful adhesive.
Oh, what I'm sort of liking is that you sort of unlock the powers, and so you're trying to run away. And one of the parkour things that you can do is there's this massive lake, so you're just throwing in the bacteria just in front of you, and you can walk on this solid water.
Yeah, it just becomes like a waterbed.
Oh, that's awesome. Then you can have fights on this gelatin lake.
Well, and if you freeze it too, it becomes bouncy, right?
Yeah.
So if you throw, if you quickly freeze a swimming pool or whatever, it becomes a giant trampoline.
Yeah.
That's awesome. You could do some really cool shit with that. Yeah. I like that a lot.
I like some of our crazier ideas. They're just...
Oh, often they turn into the best sort of gameplay stuff that you could have the most fun with.
Yeah, I like.
All right.
3, 2, 1, click.
Yeah.
Scanty aquamarine.
Okay. Floodlit ravage. Now, it actually says flood-lighted, but I didn't like the grammar.
No.
Floodlit ravage.
Ooh.
And yours was...
Scanty aquamarine.
Scanty.
Yes.
Scanty?
Scanty.
Not scantily, scanty.
Scanty.
Small or insufficient. So it's basically the same. Well, scantily is a bit different, I guess.
Yeah.
Right, like scant, okay. Scanty aquamarine. I mean, that's a colour, but also could be taken as just like...
So, I'm picturing... I just love the idea of this floodlit. So it's deep at night, but massive floodlights have been turned on in this sort of almost a quarry is what's coming to mind at the moment.
Aquamarine is a type of gemstone.
Yes. So that's why I was going quarry. Okay. And it's floodlit because I think what's actually happened is the team have just come across this vein of aquamarine gems.
Yep.
Just as they've sent someone off to go get the boss, but then someone's stolen the sample.
Okay.
And so it's middle of the night. The only thing that's providing light are these massive floodlights, but they're spaced throughout this camp. And the whole idea is that you're trying to find who actually stole it, because you know that maybe this quarry is in the middle of this desert.
I like that. I think what you find out is that the effects of this particular rare type of gem cause incredibly aggressive tendencies in people. Like it's some sort of radiation. Causing them to ravage things and people. But it's amplified, or it's only present when lit. Like when in the light. So there could be some really interesting things there around if you're in the light, like, again, depending on which side you play here, and maybe you get to do both, or maybe you get to become someone who is using this later on. But in the light, people without this stone, the people hunting for this stone are in much higher risk because they're just not going to be able to survive an encounter. So I kind of like this idea of the light, both obviously helping you to see anything, but also being risky because, you will be much more vulnerable.
So I'm seeing it as action adventure.
Yep.
Set. I do like it being set in like the middle of a desert, so that literally the only way in or out is either through the one truck or bus or whatever it is that drop everyone off.
Yeah,
but
some sort of convoy that goes back and forth. Yeah.
So when this find was found, like the boss jumped in the truck and he left, to go alert or bring back a scientist who could look at it. But then,
yeah, is there no communication either?
Yeah, I like the fact that there's no communication.
Or maybe immediately they're like high powered, radio repeater or something that's destroyed.
Your character was tasked with looking after this sample, but he fell asleep, or she fell asleep, either one.
Yep.
Fell asleep, and when they came to, the sample was gone.
Yep.
And it's middle of the night, and so the only thing that you see is like a little bit of light shining in. It just happens to hit right on the table, right where the sample was. And you can't see the sample there anymore. You just see like little scrapings of it.
You see this happen. I'm just trying to think like how this is all introduced. Obviously, that's all in the sort of the intro. Do you gain control of this character? Is it first person or
third person?
Third person. All right. But you gain control of this character as they wake up.
As they wake up, and
you get a bit of exposition there of them sort of talking to themselves, going, "Holy fuck, I'm in deep shit."
So the first thing they do is they try to jump on the radio to try and contact some of the other guys in the camp, and they can't.
Yep.
So then you travel out, and I think one of the first things that you do is when you get down to down towards the mine, you find out that there's been some people who are locked inside.
Okay.
And they say, Smithy, he went crazy and locked us in.
Yeah. All right. So you get some real tension building of what the fuck's going on here.
Yeah. And from then on, it's sort of like.
So do you is your first mission go and tell your boss that you lost it?
No, your first mission is, try to get the sample back.
Okay, but nobody knows it's missing at this point.
You know it's missing.
Yeah, okay, but so you're trying to cover your own ass initially, you don't report it, and you just try to, okay.
Yeah, well, surely you can't report it because of, there's no...
self-preservation?
Well, you can't report it because there's no radio communication, everything's sort of been
Oh, but to anyone
destroyed.
else in the base? Are you the highest ranked person in the base?
I'm thinking right at the very start. When you do actually let these people out, that's when you see Smithy come along and he goes absolutely crazy with power, and because he gets hit by the floodlights and kills some of these people.
I like that idea of him sort of coming out of the dark, calling out of the dark, help me guys, I don't know what's going on. But as soon as he comes into the light, obviously it's just
mutates it instantly.
Yeah, or he just starts sort of radiating this aquamarine light, this light blue kind of shimmer, and just then starts going nuts on people.
Oh, you know what I'm actually picturing as one of the later game sort of things after you work out, okay, I need to switch off the power on this thing, on the generator and all this sort of stuff. Get rid of the floodlights. Yep. But then, the clouds disappear off the moon and just the moonlight hits and, he gets supercharged by the moonlight because it turns out that, the moonlight is actually, reflected sunlight, and sunlight is the...
Yeah, it's like UV that,
yeah,
powers them up even more than just regular photons. It's a combination.
Yeah. I'm liking the idea that he becomes superpowered at that stage. So, that you got to destroy this sample before sunrise. Because if
that's it. You've got
it's this powerful in the moon, how powerful will it be in sunrise?
And so presumably more people get hold of these stones. Or is it just this one? Is it just Smithy? the whole time.
I like the idea that maybe some of the guys in the mine have actually mined a little bit more and stuck it in their pockets, sort of thing.
Maybe it's like Alien and Aliens in that, the first game, it's just Smithy, and he's this unstoppable force, and you can't imagine having to fight more than one of him. And then, like, at the end, after the credits, it just, like, it shows, like, someone who's left with 300 of them.
Yeah.
In a protective container, and so they're out there.
So
and then game 2, Ravagers. It's going to be you stuck in some place. With
I'm really picturing that this whole thing takes place over like a 12-hour period sort of thing.
Yeah. Like it's sort of just after sundown that it gets stolen, and you find dawn is going to be at 5:53.
I don't know whether it does the Dead Rising sort of time period of time is always moving.
Yeah, that could be interesting. You could make that work. I could see this being a Dead Rising sort of thing, down to the idea of you can save certain people but not everyone unless you do a perfect run sort of thing.
Yeah.
In that there are sort of pre-timed events that either happen or don't happen based on a couple of branch points.
So the time is actually, it's not quite real time, but it's pretty close to.
Yeah, I think you could do it pretty close to. Like 12 hours in a game is not too bad, particularly if it's got some replayability around doing it better, saving more people, making slightly different decisions which unlock or like lead to different events later on in the day or in the night. Yeah, that could be really cool. Oh, I could see a good like art team would fucking have a field day on this.
Oh yeah.
They'd make it awesome.
Oh, could you imagine like you've turned the generator off and you've got like a headlamp that you can turn on, but if you capture Smithy in the beam, he gets superpowered. So it's one of these things.
You've got like 2 seconds to
yes, you
turn
can
it off,
turn it on.
And
I think one of the things that you can see on like the weather app is like there's going to be cloud cover all night until sort of like cloud cover and
I love that
rain
idea of
all night until like 4 o'clock in the morning or something like that.
Yeah, I love that idea that there's like again in that Dead Rising sort of way, like it's coming at 2:33 a.m. every morning. Every time you play through this game, like things get way fucking harder because the fucking moon comes out and
the rain stops.
Now you've got barely anywhere that you can actually hide. Every place in the game becomes more dangerous.
Oh, and it turns almost into like an alien isolation sort of thing in which you've got some
that'd be a good point for that to happen. Like earlier on in the game, you can do some damage to him and scare him off, sort of thing. Like a run in with him is not going to be fatal, but once the moon's out, like maybe he even retains some of that. Like it's that it wears off a lot slower so that he can go into the dark. Like he doesn't have to have a light on him all the time to continue being powered.
Yeah. But of course, I think if you try to stay away from him continually, say you just go into the mine and you think, oh yeah, I'm just gonna hang out in here. Well, it turns out that he's able to like, I don't know, repair some engine and get away. And the last thing that you want him to do is actually get away. If he gets away,
then yeah. If you just hide out, I think there are a few things that could happen. Because look, while he's not powered, while he's in the dark, he's kind of himself.
And he's stolen this thing for a reason. He's trying to literally take it and sell it to the.
And so when he's himself, like, so he will try to like fix up a car or fix the generators or whatever. And if you leave him alone for long enough, he'll do that. And
I like the fact that when he's in the light, he blacks out, so he becomes something else entirely. And when he goes back into the darkness, he doesn't remember what happened. So he's the sort of character that all he knows is that he's trying to get away. But he's
and he knows that something weird's going on, but he doesn't know what.
Yeah.
He just keeps waking up in places with like destruction all around him in the dark. Do you think he starts figuring out that he can't go in the light? That'd be interesting.
I think he starts realizing that if he wants to get something done, he and not black
do it in
out. He needs to
darkness.
stay away from the light. But then, he also, he's trying to get away. So it's one of these things that he works out that something is happening if he gets into the light, but he doesn't know what.
Yeah.
But he knows that he has to get away.
Yeah, that's cool, because I can really picture some good scenes later on where you talk to him, right? You maybe even all through it, you're talking to him because maybe your local radios still work or something, or maybe you fix the radios, and then you're able to talk to him when he's not powered up, and you're sort of trying to convince him that something's happening, or you've got some decisions that can be made based on sort of your relationship with him. But you could be able to at least give the player a real insight into what he's thinking. Yeah.
This is really kind of cool.
I really like that a lot. That'd be really fun. There's some really cool shit you could do there.
Let's try one more.
All right, one more.
3.
Last one. The last 3 have been really good.
2, 1 click. Yep.
Disciplined diversion.
Veined summit.
Veined, like V-E-I-N-E-D.
Yep.
I don't really want to climb the veined summit, though. I'm not into that.
So I'm sort of thinking that it's along the lines of what we were talking about before, and that it's like a mineral vein or something like that. It's...
Nah, that's boring. We've already done that.
So
I think it's a literal...
living mountain. Ooh.
It's a living being.
Ooh.
Yeah. So you're a bunch of college kids, and you decide to get away from school, go on a mountain climbing holiday. Disciplined diversion.
Okay. So I like it that the idea is that it's like set in a big national forest sort of thing.
Yep.
Sort of almost like I don't know, the Yellowstone or whatever. It's an absolutely massive place, and there's mountains in it and all this sort of stuff. And so you're nowhere near civilization.
Yeah, totally.
And you've been climbing to the top of this mountain and all this sort of stuff, and like kind of like a what was it? Disciplined diversion. So the group that you're with, it's a bunch of troubled kids, and it's this group that tries to take kids out and take them on like an adventure. They get to the top of this summit. It's the first time that they've ever gone to this national park, and their whole thing is these kids have now conquered this thing. We'll put down a flag and make them feel good about themselves and sort of teach them about a few different things. They stick the flag into the top of the mountain, and blood comes out of it. Yeah. So that's already the first bad thing that happens. But as you're climbing down the mountain, I'm thinking that this being has like antibodies and that sort of stuff.
Well, I think
as in, and basically the big being is, it's got self-defense mechanisms that's coming out and basically cleaning house. Because it's been attacked.
I like that. Like it's treating you as some sort of
foreign invader,
parasite, foreign entity. But I also like. I think I want this thing to wake the fuck up pretty quickly. Like, I want to see. I want this to be active. I want there to be a relationship with this fucking thing.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. If you actually think about the body, and your body, like it doesn't matter about how good the being is or anything like that. The self-defense mechanisms or your white blood cells and that sort of stuff are just going to destroy anything that it can.
Oh yeah.
So I like the idea.
I get that.
This is like a BFG like character, really really kind-hearted and all this sort of stuff. But it's like white blood cells are like this dangerous predator that's literally trying to wipe them out.
Totally. So I think that's the start. I think that's kind of the first third. You've got a, exposition-filled introduction where you're hiking up this mountain, and I'm sort of thinking sort of, Uncharted style third-person action adventure sort of thing again.
I was almost thinking, but the visuals of Firewatch.
Yep. Or could be even first person too. Yeah. But, conversations between the characters, you get to know them a bit. You get to know, like, the social worker character who's taking them up there.
And the social worker is the first one to be taken out, by the way. Because there's a full-on horror thing.
Well, I think initially, so you get to the top, Everyone's feeling good. You plant the flag. Fucking a torrent of blood comes out. Everyone's like, what the fuck is that?
Social worker run the face.
Blood? Yeah. Well, and that's why he's the first to be taken out, because he's like got the blood all over him, and it's sort of it's tagged him in a way. Everyone starts running, and then so the next part is you just running the fuck down this hill, and the social worker literally gets taken out by this kind of tree wolf creature or something that's like a defense mechanism on this thing.
Yeah, I kind of like, if you remember the Neverending Story, like the wolf that is, the being that goes along with the nothing.
Gamorg. Yeah. Gamorg, I think. Yeah.
I kind of like that sort of big hulking wolf that is sort of stalking.
Yeah, totally. But after that, you get to the bottom and you sort of turn around and the ground just like shifts erupts. And this, erupts, and this giant hand like comes reaching up and pushes itself down, and this thing lifts itself up out of the ground. It's covered in trees, and there's like a waterfall pouring off its shoulder, like a fucking huge titan thing. And it's just like, ow, you hit my funny bone. That really hurt.
Feels kind of weird.
Yeah. I think this is yours. Like,
hello, tiny thing.
And then I think the rest of the game is like getting to know this thing and finding out about it, but you're still like, there's still tension. It's dangerous. It killed the fucking social worker, even though you find out there's an accident. You're like, this is a natural, like, there's a natural, risk here to being around this thing. But yeah, I don't know what the goal is from that point. Maybe you're trying to find it somewhere else to sleep or something. It just wants to.
So I like the idea that this is set in the same universe as Cabin in the Woods.
Okay.
Like, there's a team that actually know about these ancient ones. And it just happens to be that this is set at the exact same time as they failed to do that thing, where the big hand comes up in the at the end of.
So I like the idea then that there's some ancients that are just assholes, and they're like, you humans have to sacrifice a virgin to me every however often.
Yeah. Or
I'm going to come and fuck you all up. And this one's just like, fuck that, I'm tired.
My brother has kept us asleep because, he cast a spell or something like that, but now that he's awake, I'm awake too, and.
Right, okay.
I kind of like the idea that he's one of the ancient ones. He just didn't go along with all the
sure.
All the rest of it.
Yeah. He's his own guy.
Yeah, because I think you can actually, bring in some of the cool ideas from that.
Well, I like the idea then that this guy wakes up and you sort of talk to him a bit and you find out about that, and it gets to a point in the conversation where he realizes, like, oh shit, like, this means my brother's awake.
Yeah.
I just love the idea that these things are so huge that you could, like, turn around and just see the other Titan, like, way, way off in the distance. It's like, it's almost on another fucking continent, but you just see its head, like, touching the clouds. Maybe not another continent. No. The horizon would probably, I don't know. We could do some math to figure out how tall it'd have to be to see it that far away, but just in the distance, right? Like, so far away, it's not a threat to you in the slightest.
No.
But they're just so huge. I mean, it's like seeing a mountain in the distance, right?
Yeah.
But it's even taller than a mountain because mountains are them, like, sleeping. Or at least this one was.
Yeah.
And then, the whole game then is having this thing help you plot and figure out how to stop his brother from just destroying humanity.
Well, I think maybe that's something that comes up at the end. So it's not part of this particular game. It's not until the very end that you realize, oh shit, this is actually part
that the
of...
brother's awake.
And then you look off to the horizon and you...
Right. And you just see this thing, like, fucking laying waste.
Yep. And that's...
By which I mean shitting on... just like taking a huge dump
on New York City or something like that.
Yeah.
Next time on, and you just see, like, they just fade out and, zoom out, and it's like this huge turd laying in the middle of Times Square.
Oh, God. All right. Well, you know what? Let's end it there.
Yep.
Thank you for joining us this week on Bitstorm. If you want to find us online, we're on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Bitstormcast on all of those. You can find our Facebook group and our website and our YouTube all via Podchaser. That's the easiest way. Podchaser.com/Bitstorm. And that's got all the good stuff.
Yeah.
Even if you're on an Apple device.
If you're on an Apple device, though, we do also have our stuff on iTunes and Spotify and wherever else you can rate and review on iTunes and subscribe on iTunes and Spotify and all that sort of lovely stuff. I'd like to plug the AGPN, the Australasian Gaming Podcast Network. Search for hashtag AGPN on Twitter and search for the Australasian Gaming Podcast Network on Facebook. Finally, we'd like to thank Kuridas for the song Mount Defiance of the album Containment Failure.
That's right. So thank you again for joining us this week on Bitstorm. I'm Ben Slinger.
I'm Trevor Scott.
And I'm thirsty past the thick water.